Hi there! Every unit will have a word wall overview so that you can understand the vocabulary a little bit better. I thought it would be helpful to post this vocabulary review on our website because for your projects you'll likely encounter a lot of these words. So the first word on our word wall for this unit is the word colony. I've also put in the Spanish version of the word, so hopefully that can help make some connections between what you know in another language and what you know here. But the word colony does not refer to a group of people. There are multiple definitions of this word, so I've tried to make it really clear that it refers to a place, a location, and it's pretty much when a country like England decides to travel the world, find new land, and start a settlement there. So even though the country of England is all the way over here across the ocean, they claim land in a faraway place so that they can gain resources like forests or fish or farmland that would help benefit their home country. Spain is another example of a country that starts colonies in faraway places. So a colony is a location, and it's usually a settlement or a city or a town started by a faraway country for the purpose of resources. The next word on our list is mercantilism, and we said that this is the background for this whole unit. If you understand that England wanted to be wealthy because they thought that money was equal to power or strength, that's the idea behind mercantilism. And that greed of wanting more and more money for themselves is what eventually leads to the American Revolution. The word economy in itself refers to the way that a country earns and manages and spends their money. So every country, every town, every city, every state has its own economy. How does the city of New London, for example, make money, spend that money within our city, and then spend that money potentially outside of our city? Right? So it's that process of incoming money, how do we organize it, and where do we spend it? And an economy, you can remember, has to do with money because the letters that spell out money are in the word. So economy, you should think the word money. The next two words go together. In this war, we have both a militia and a military. A military is formally trained soldiers. They practice. They have gone to war. They know how to use their guns. They have uniforms. These are members of a military. The British, like the redcoats shown here, were members of the British military. They are formally trained soldiers. But the Americans in the colonies had militias. They're not formally trained soldiers. In fact, a lot of them were everyday soldiers in regular clothes that decided to learn how to use weapons to defend themselves from the British. So that is the difference between a military that's trained and understands how to fight and a militia that's less formal, no schooling, and they just pick up arms so that they can defend themselves. The next word is revolution. A revolution can mean a lot of things, especially in science class, but when we talk about a revolution in social studies, we're talking about a political revolution. So that means we're changing the government entirely. We're going from having a king, getting rid of that type of government, and creating a democracy where people vote and participate. So a revolution is a complete change in any system. The next word is agriculture, and agriculture refers to farming. In this case, it can be farming crops for food, raising domesticated animals for food, and more. One of the last words we'll talk about is the word privateer. A privateer in this case was just like a pirate. The only difference is a privateer is actually legally hired by their government. So this would look like President Obama giving people permission to attack ships out on the ocean because he feels that that would be helpful to our country. Of course, this doesn't happen anymore, and President Obama would not do that, but in earlier years, in time periods like the 1700s, this was a way of attacking the other country in a more or less formal way. So anybody who owned a ship could be hired as a privateer by their government. Whenever you study a war, you have to understand the difference between a battle and a war. In this case, a war is a large-scale fight between two or more countries. It involves multiple fights, multiple battles, and typically involves two or more militaries. A battle is one fight within that whole war. So you really have to understand the war is the whole event, and the battle is one fight within it. The last word that we'll talk about more when we get to the next unit is the word government. Government refers to that leading group in charge of your country or your region. So again, after the Revolutionary War, the Americans are tasked with creating their own government. So we'll talk about it again when we get there.